Well, Dom,
Hey!
what's going on? How are you?
Oh my gosh, it's been an amazing year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know it's been a crazy year, and we have so much that has gone on
Yes.
through the different events that we've had, through the
Mhm.
different connections that we've made. And so we just want to take a moment and just talk about it. Give you guys a little bit of a behind the scenes, behind the
Definitely.
closed door on things that happen through
Mhm.
True Creative and what the Lord has done with us, and share a couple of testimonies. I think tonight's going to be funny.
Yes,
I
it
might get a little
is.
emotional too, but I'm excited and I'm ready to go if you are.
Yeah, let's talk about it. It's been an amazing year. A lot of good things, hard things, but it's been amazing to see God just be the thread between them all.
Yeah. So before we get into all that, I know there's a lot of people that know us from different things. Some people know us from Worship on the Water. Some people have met us through Creative Conference. Some people have met us just through connections, or maybe people are just starting to learn us through social media. So let's just talk from the origin of True Creative. And if I were to ask you, if you were to think back, what is the true origin story of True Creative? Like, where did it come about? I know there was a part where it started in Ohio, where you were
Mhm.
originally living, and then now
Yes.
how that transitioned over to New York. Why don't you just give us like a
Yes.
quick recap on
Uh,
where we are, where it started, and a little bit to where we are
yeah.
today.
So true, honestly, my sister and I were daughters of evangelists and pastors. So all of our life we've traveled, preaching the gospel, dancing, singing. So it really started when we were little, but went off to college, and God put this desire in our heart to have one day an organization that would minister to churches and worship teams, specifically the creative arts.
Hmm.
So we both went to different churches. I pastored for about 8 years in Ohio, was a worship pastor there, and after 8 years, I transitioned out of that role. And in this transitional season, I had no clue what was next. And I actually took out a packet that I had written years prior about the vision of this organization. Didn't have a name. And the Lord just spoke to me in this season of transition to take out that dream, like take it off the shelf. And I opened up that packet, prayed over it, and then in Ohio, I started to travel to different churches, just doing trainings. I really did not know what the ministry, how to begin it. I think sometimes it's hard when God gives you a vision, you see the outcome, you see like this big picture, and you don't know how to begin. So I just really began small, went to churches, traveled with the vocal workshops. And then the Lord brought me to New York and rooted me here. And then that was,
And you're never leaving.
and I am never leaving.
That's not just, we have it documented.
Yes, okay. I'm home. I came back home.
Yeah.
And honestly, in 2023, I called a man by the name of Mitch Paulson.
Hmm.
The Lord just kept on waking me up. Call Mitch, call Mitch. If you don't know Mitch Paulson, back in the 90s, he established Christian concerts at Jones Beach. And my father and him had partnered for these concerts. And the Lord kept on waking me up, and you have to call Mitch, you have to call Mitch. And I felt honestly like, I just like let that thought go. And then one day I listened and I called Mitch. I said, "Hey, do you have a availability at Jones Beach?" And he was like, let me make a call. Long story short, they had one date available, gave it to us. And in that moment, it was like, well, we have a concert date. Now we have to have a name of this organization. Now we have to make this real, established. So honestly, 2023 is really when that nonprofit was established, True Creative House.
That's cool. I know you hinted on some of your influences, right? Some of it coming from your time at Bible school, your parents, and,
Yes.
and all that. So maybe give us a little bit on just the influences that kind of shaped yourself and Deonza, who is your other co-founder, on how those influences then tied into the building and the structure of True Creative.
Yeah, we saw a lot growing up. Dad brought us everywhere overseas, Portugal, Africa, Italy. There wasn't a place my parents did not bring us when they were preaching the gospel. So we saw a lot. We were infused with other worship ministries too. Like we were able to be a part of a concert at Brooklyn Tab. Dad loves the Symbolas. And over the years, even like Eddie James would come to our church. And so we saw a lot of these how do I say it, Christian worship artists or worship leaders, established ministries. And I think we also felt like sometimes they came and then they left. And that was the part too. We wanted to make an organization that impacted the ground that we were rooted in.
Yeah.
So that's why being in New York the last 3 years, and why I'm not going to go anywhere, guys. I'm just happy that we can be like a home base to the churches and organizations around us.
That's amazing. And so I know when we've already hinted it in the beginning, but this year has just been a monumental year for True Creative. And I know for myself personally, I got involved in 2023 with that first Worship on the Water. And I said, hey, it's a cool idea. Here to support you. I've known the Jack family for such a long time. And of course, any way that I could support. But I remember specifically around this time in December last year, you had like a Worship Connect event, and that was in an event place in, I think, in Amityville, and you had gathered a couple of worship leaders and pastors just to give them time to rest going into the holiday season. I remember just looking at you and having a conversation with you and being like, hey, Dom, whatever I can do to help and support you, let me know, and I'm here. So that's kind of where our friendship honestly blossomed in like the last 10 or 11 months in all the work that we've been doing together. And then even within that, we were able to establish a leadership team. Because there's a lot of things that happen, a lot of moving parts, and we needed a team to make sure to get that going. So can you tell us a little bit about our team, maybe the reason behind having a team, and then let's brag on them a little bit and talk about
we love
how
them.
much we love them. So first tell us, like, why did you think we needed a leadership team? And
we need accountability and community, and we need creativity. So I think those were like the three like foundational parts of wanting to build this team of leaders. And we wanted leaders. Like, I think sometimes it's hard to be sometimes you think it's hard to be a leader of leaders, but actually there's so much purity and fire being able to have a team of I like to say alphas. So most of the people on our team, they're leaders in different churches, and we loved being able to have different voices from different denominations, different houses, church houses, I like to say. So let's brag on them. Are we going to talk about who they are?
Yeah, we can start.
Okay, cool.
We'll start from the top.
Yes.
Ira is definitely one that comes to mind. That she is our administrative support, which for me is a huge part on the operations side, because I've needed so much help just keeping everything organized. We have, and maybe some things that people don't understand when we do these events, we literally bring everything.
Yes.
Like every plate, every T-shirt, every
pen,
chair,
lanyard.
they're all accounted for.
Yes.
And volunteers, vendors, tables, chairs, like all those things need to be accounted for, on top of the artistry, on top of the insurance, on top of the sound, on top of the social media. And so having someone like Ira was honestly probably one of the instrumental things that we did this year, and having her involved. And again, I remember meeting her last December, like, hey, Dom, who is that?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, this girl Ira. She's like, she's helping out. I was like, oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't know we had
Bring her
help.
in. Yeah.
But now we have help, and we have help in such a tremendous way. She manages a lot of our email communications to different vendors, different volunteers, and things like that. So she's been instrumental in a lot of the stuff we did. So couldn't function without her. So
we love you, Ira.
Yeah, totally. Someone else that comes to mind is Gabby, right? She has stepped up tremendously on our team in the last couple of months on the social media side. I don't know if you worked a lot with her in that.
Yeah, I did. Gabby is from Anchor Church. Ira is from Church Unleashed.
Yeah.
And so Gabby, we love you. She's our creativity behind the scenes, social media, on site. She'll do content creation. She'll take her phone out, making sure she's getting those videos and photos for reels. And then on the back end, Gabby could probably have stories about us being on phone calls and like looking at Google Sheets and looking at the Instagram, like social media calendar, getting a call from Jithin, like deadline is passed, like deadline.
Yeah.
But Gabby really works with, graphic design it's beautiful, it's fun, but it's also tedious and hard work. So we appreciate Gabby.
Yeah. Speaking of creatives, I mean, Jared and Talia have been huge with us too. A lot of things that we do event-wise, again, takes so much concentration, focus, and intention. And so I know when we give things to Jared, who is our content creator, not content, but media, our head of our media, and then Talia, who's in charge of our events, and she does decor and all the planning and things like that. I think what's been amazing about the two of them is that we can give them a project, we can tell them the vision, and then they can just execute.
They run with it.
And they tell us, they give us feedback. It's like, hey,
Yes.
we see you have your vision there. Like, how can we, how maybe we could tweak it based on the budget. What if we did this? What if we add this? What if we take out? And it's just has made things so easy.
It has.
And it's just like literally one less thing we have to think about when we just hand it off to them.
Yeah, and we've known them for quite some time. I
Yeah.
think it's very wonderful too, the circle that you have, being able to have, different people from different stages of your life. And Jared and Talia have actually known them since I was, I'd say 15. And I know you've known Talia
Yeah, almost that long.
yeah.
Too.
So it's cool even seeing how like God is bringing people back into our lives, and together we are advancing the kingdom.
Yeah. We have Mel.
We have Mel Silva.
Mel from Centerpoint.
Centerpoint.
He's first of all just an absolute powerhouse when it comes to leading worship. And he's so
Yes.
influential. He's in so many circles.
Yes.
Just because of the way that God has put him on a platform here on Long Island, and especially in Centerpoint, Massapequa, one of their largest campuses of a multi-campus church. And so Mel has been great advice to us, has
Yes.
given us a lot of wisdom when we come to plan things out, whether it's worship sets, whether it's our conference, finding or sourcing speakers and sourcing content and sourcing topics that we should be talking about based on some of the feedback he's gotten, not only from his church, but other churches that he's connected with. And so Mel has been huge in that area, and we're so appreciative of him and Melissa just letting us borrow Mel
Yeah, thank
so
you,
many
Melissa.
times, and letting us just really pick his brain. And he has such a great heart for seeing the growth on Long Island.
He
So we're
does.
super appreciative.
He
And then
does.
lastly, can't forget Rebecca.
Oh my, Rebecca's my girl. You know it.
Yeah.
Rebecca, I love her. We also cross paths in, I guess, our youth stages. But honestly, even recently, about maybe 8 months ago, we were at an open mic night, and she just came up to us.
Yeah.
And I knew she looked familiar. And she's the worship pastor at Sound of Heaven. And long story short, from that moment, and I knew it that night, I was like, me and Jithin were talking, and we were like, okay, we came here to the open mic night. One, we want to support this ministry, but two, also we want to talk to people, because a huge part of True Creative House is making that personal connect. Like, we want to be a ministry that you leave feeling like I got that personal touch. And we strive to get better and better at that. But that night I was like, I want to make a connect with at least 5 people. And she was honestly the main person that I connected with that night. And then ever since then, I've been able to be a part of, I'm able to go to Sound of Heaven. I live in Deer Park. So Sound of Heaven is in Deer Park. And seeing that church, the culture, getting to know the pastoral staff behind the scenes, seeing her media and worship, it's wonderful to have someone like her on the team.
Yeah. So again, so appreciative of our leadership team, and hopefully they stick around for at least the next year or so, and
Yes.
and help us grow wherever the Lord has given us. If we could fast forward a little bit, Worship on the Water, right? That happened in July of this year, and one of our biggest events we've ever had. And I know a lot of people are so
Yes.
curious on how we pulled it off, and
How
I'll be
did we
honest,
pull it off?
I'm more curious on
Jithin.
how we pulled it off. I know if you guys, a lot of you guys weren't behind the scenes, but there was a lot of prayer, a lot of tears, a lot of worry, a lot of God, how are you going to pull this off in this short amount of time? It felt like the clock was just moving so fast,
Yeah.
and there were still so many things that had to happen in order to make that event successful. I know we could literally have a whole 3-hour
About it.
episode just on that. But Dom, if I can ask you to maybe describe a moment, maybe one moment while we were in the planning stage, a moment that while we were in it, and maybe a moment post Worship on the Water that really shaped you, or really what made an impact on you.
Yeah, so Worship on the Water, it's a beautiful night. It's a collaborative night where we invite churches from across the New York region to come. and it's at Jones Beach. We did not know how many people would come, trying not to get caught up in the numbers, but because we have a certain amount of seats at the venue, you kind of have to consider that. So we prepped, our leadership team, structure, registration, a lot behind the scenes. The beauty of it, though, is on one side, being able to see the faith-based businesses that were able to be vendors. Year one, we had about 10. Year two, 25. Year three, we went down to about 15 vendors. And also, there are so many stories within these faith-based businesses that have been at Worship on the Water and now are seeing so much fruit from that exposure. So, we love that. And then also on the side of the New York Worship Collective, this is a night to also bring together different worship leaders in New York and musicians, and to kind of showcase what is the sound of Long Island, like this Long Island sound. And so that's beautiful. And then having the collaborative team of pastors that come, and it's like they pop in here and there, like a pastor from Bridge Community Church, a pastor from Eastgate, a pastor from Destiny Church. So it's a very collaborative event. The heart of it is to remind ourselves that we are one kingdom under one God. And this year we had about 3,000 people attend, and 300 churches. So, and again, it's just giving praise to God, seeing the multitude of people wanting to come together. And can we talk about the behind the scenes?
Yeah. This is the moment to let everybody in.
So I want to hear from you.
No, which behind the scenes story do you want to talk about?
Well, what for you behind the scenes, like any tough moments or pivotal moments that we can touch on?
I think we could talk about our featured artist, right? I think we were initially trying to not struggling, but trying to figure out how we would pull that off, who would we call, and things like that. And when it came to Refresh, it was the first idea first came from Gabby. Gabby had visited Fresh Start New York and saw the church there and put me on them first. And I'm like, hey, these guys sound really good. We should check them out one day. And so we went. We checked them out. They had a flow night, which is like their worship night that they put on. And you and I, and I think it was Gabby and TJ, and we went out and checked it out, and we were just so blessed by that night. And we were like, man, we got to find a way.
Yes.
Interestingly enough, the night ends and we go in the back and we see our good friends from Designatronics.
Yes.
And we were like, hey, you guys are here? And they're like, what are you doing here? Designatronics has been our sound vendor for Worship on the Water for now the last 2 years. And they were like, hey, these guys would be a great artist for y'all, to partner with. And so we started making those connections and having those conversations to see what would it look like. We sent out an email and a prayer. And
that's good. Email and a prayer.
And that's honestly how if people ask how we operate, is that we send an email and a prayer. Because that's the only way we know how to make these connections. And so a couple of conversations that happened back and forth. We sent out a proposal. We had a whole presentation prepared. And then last minute they couldn't make the presentation.
Yes.
And I remember being so I dropped. I was just like, man, I was in business mode. I was ready to
this is Mr. Corporate, by the way.
Yes. I was like, I'm ready to give a presentation that they can't refuse coming out. They're like, hey,
an email. They can't refuse.
An email they can't refuse. And so going into it, I was ready, and then I think last minute they emailed saying, hey, something came up. We can't make the meeting, but we'll review your presentation, your deck, and your email, we'll get back to you. And I was like...
Yeah, they were very chill. Yeah. Which, I appreciated that.
Yeah, and then I was like, all right, well, I guess that's not going to happen. We got to find someone else. But then a couple of days later, they emailed back saying, hey, we can do it, but at this price. And we were like... immediately when they said that price, I said, Dom, we got to find somebody else. Because there's no way the Lord is going to find a way to figure out these finances to have them come out. And
may I cut you off and just say that the price was reasonable, but for us being a startup or nonprofit, behind the scenes, we are running on the fumes of the Holy Spirit.
Literally.
So anyway, no matter what price it was, we had to have faith. Anyway, so continue.
Yeah, so then conversations occurred. We went back and forth on a couple of things. we were able to then agree on a price, which was still way out of our range,
Yeah.
like incredibly out of our range. But you had faith,
I had faith.
and you said the Lord's going to provide, and He set up the conversations. And so I think that's something that's so unique about the two of us is that
Yes.
I will come in and very, like you said, very corporate, very
Yeah.
financial, very
Organizational leadership. This
and
guy.
be like, hey,
Yeah.
okay, so if we're gonna do this, we need to budget this, and we need to price this, and we need to make these payments. And you're like, yeah, and the Lord's gonna provide.
I'm like, that's it. That's all we need to know.
But in the Lord's timing,
Yeah.
in avenues and in ways and through people that we didn't even
Yes.
know,
Completely.
literally had no idea
No
they
clue.
would care about what we're doing.
Yeah.
Not only care about what we were doing, but want to invest in what we're doing. We were able to make sure we had the finances ready, and we stayed in the black.
We did.
And the Lord was glorified in everything that we did.
He
and
was.
so that was so amazing to hear. And I know for me personally, in terms of that night, like obviously the numbers are great and the unity is great and stuff like that. But I think one of the more impactful things of that night is that time that we have just to minister, especially as New York Worship Collective, and invite people to come up and get prayed for. Because although there's so many types of people that come, there are people that are on fire for God and excited for what the Lord is doing in their life, but being in such an open space, which is Jones Beach on the boardwalk,
Right.
there's so many different people that can walk into that space. And so I know just the conversations that I've had with some of the pastors and leaders that we had on that prayer team, there were people fighting so many different things: depression, suicide,
Yes.
anger, physical healing that was needed. And so be able to provide that place for people just to encounter God and have the Lord speak to them, at the beach.
At the beach. It's a beautiful venue.
It was just so amazing just to play a small role in
Yes.
that part. And so, again, numbers aside and churches aside and everything else, just so grateful that the Lord used us in that capacity.
Yes, and even behind the scenes, like day of, it's not easy, making these big events. I do love large scale events. Like I do feel like I feel called to, partner with the Lord and create these collaborative environments. But day of, if we could share behind the scenes.
Oh, you want to go there?
We're going there.
Great.
Well, first I roll up on site, and working with Jones Beach, there's a lot of policy agreements behind the scenes. So we were backstage, and we just pulled into the parking lot, and all of a sudden Jithin's like, I can just see, when you know someone and something's just off. And I'm like, what's going on? Like this, what's up? And Jithin tries to hold it all together for everyone, which he does a great job at it. But what?
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I know what you're going to say.
you do. Do you want to talk about it?
I could talk about it.
Okay.
I was sick,
Yes.
like really sick. And to the point where I had numbness in my hands.
Which he plays piano. He's our music director.
And so I was like, Lord, this is the biggest day. This is we have so much going on. We have so many things we need to work out. And I cannot literally feel my fingertips. I'm like, why today? Why every day? I remember being like 2 days before that, I think we had a vocal rehearsal and I had some type of fever. And so like I remember taking a Dayquil and just trying to sleep. I was at my parents' house, so they can watch my son. So just I can rest because I know we had a rehearsal that night. And I said, God, like you have to take this because like Thursday is coming.
Yes.
And so I think in that moment, you and we talked about it, and I said I didn't want to make it a big deal because we had so many people that were relying on us. But I think in that moment, it just made us realize, like, hey, like He's in control.
He is.
And just keep our eyes on Him and
Yes.
trust Him.
Yes.
I think sometimes He allows us to go through certain things to make sure we remember to trust Him in those moments. And so, interestingly enough, and we'll go into it later, but I don't even think I told you this. So, our two biggest events, Worship on the Water and Long Island Creative Conference, I was sick at both of them.
Wow. Did not know that. Second one.
Yeah. my fingernails were falling off my hand because I had some type of vitamin deficiency. So again, my hands being attacked.
Yes.
While I'm supposed to be playing the piano in front of people and trying to lead worship, and I'm just like, Lord, what's going on? But again, each time it's like, are you going to trust me?
Yeah.
Are you going to trust me to provide? And so, yeah, that was definitely tough. But again, we prayed.
We prayed.
And
There at Jones Beach, we
Mhm.
put our storage boxes down, containers, and I was like, let's pray. Prayed over your hands. And then the rest of the day went on at Jones Beach. We got into a little tiff again. But Deonta calmed us down as per usual. And and God had his way.
Yeah. So that was one of the amazing parts of Worship on the Water. Just again, not only how God was able to show up for everyone there that was in attendance, but also how he showed up for us as individuals.
Yeah, he did. He met us there.
Yeah. So let's leave Worship on the Water because that
Alright.
happened in July. We
That
still
was
have
July.
like
Let's get
a
to
whole
it.
bunch of other months going into
Yeah.
it, right? So essentially, right after Worship on the Water, we're trying to find ways, and we're praying and being like, Lord, what's next? Like, let's not keep this moment here. And something you and I talked about is that Worship on the Water was a moment to unite the church,
Edify.
and we wanted to find a way now to equip the church. And so
Yes.
the best way we thought of doing that was holding a creative conference. So we were fortunate to do that in October.
Yes.
We're partnering with Eastgate Church, and so
Shout out Pastor Stephen and Stephanie.
yes, thank you. And we're so grateful for them for just allowing us, to partner with them in their space to run this all day
All day.
conference. I think you and I showed up at 8 something.
Yeah.
And I don't think we left till 10, 11 something
It was all day.
on a Saturday
It was-
when we both had to serve at church.
Yeah,
the
I mean,
next day.
everyone did, right?
That is true.
That it came.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the Long Island Creative Conference? Just one or two highlights that you were proud
Sure.
of that we were able to accomplish and things like that.
The conference was a beautiful moment, like you said, to equip. And we have a passion for creative teams. We want, honestly, a strategy that we have for True Creative House is to build true creatives. So people who know their worth in the Lord, know that they are sons and daughters of God. And with that identity being rooted in that posture, then being able to say, okay, and as a son and daughter of God, now I can go into my church and use the gifting he's given me. And we infuse that mentality in the creative. We see, okay, I'll talk about it.
Go ahead.
Here I go. But church structure has drastically changed over the last 10 years. So even 5 to 10 years, honestly, COVID was a pivotal moment when maybe before COVID, most smaller churches were just doing you had a sound guy, you had a worship leader, you had a pastor, youth pastor. COVID hits. Now these smaller churches have to structure themselves as these mega churches. We're operating multi-tracks, Ableton. We have a social media crew. We have a website designer, content creator, live stream. All production boomed over the last 10 years. I'm talking about in the small to mid-sized churches. So we see that there is growth within churches and that the creative is honestly I'm going to be bold about this, but a huge vertebrae to the church. So without the creative ministries, worship, media, creative arts, graphic design, if you took that away, most of your churches wouldn't be able to function without it, at least operate at the highest level that it could. If we took it away on a Sunday morning, maybe we wouldn't have live stream, we wouldn't have sound. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Anyway, so we see the importance of the creative and the creative leader and volunteer. So with that, we wanted to shape a conference that not only loved on them as a person, but trains them in their gifting. So we were able to collaborate with different worship leaders and tech directors from around Long Island and New York City a little bit, maybe. I don't know. Where's Mark from?
He's from up. Oh no, I want to say upstate. If
Okay.
he said upstate, he'd be
Yeah.
New Rochelle area, or Rockland County area, I guess.
Yeah, so it was really beautiful seeing all of these worship leaders coming together, and when they came together, we had Smithtown Gospel, we had Church Unleashed, we had Destiny, we had Bridge Community. What other churches? Eastgate. Jamie's church, Shelter Rock. We had Sound of Heaven, Anchor Church. So honestly, the beauty in that is seeing that we're not the only ones who are sensing God wanting to pour into the creative. We all want to, feel that advancement. I'm gonna throw it back to you.
Yeah, I think it was just exciting to see. This is our first conference ever, and so I know it was, again, super nerve-wracking. At least Worship on the Water, this was our third iteration this year, so we kind of had an idea of what we're getting ourselves into. But this is our first conference that we've ever done, and so what did that look like? Even the little things on, like, how do we feed everyone?
Yeah.
And so that was...
How did we feed everyone?
Who do we call it? And again, that's another testament, right?
Yes.
We just sent an email and a prayer
to
Chick-fil-A.
Oh, can we talk about that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, literally like the week before this big event, I was like, hey, Jithin, we don't have money for lunch. And he was like, what? Because I kind of like didn't tell him about the budget this time around. And I was like, I got to keep this from him. Anyway, I got to trust the Lord. But I was like, hey, I think I have a contact with Chick-fil-A. Don't really know them, but I know a friend who knows them. And he was like, if you think so, I mean, it's a week away. And I was like, let's email and pray.
Yeah.
So we emailed them and
we prayed. And then I think a couple of days later, they emailed back saying, totally, 100%.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Like, we'll feed your people, and exactly the amount that we had needed. Because even a week before the event, we had a number that we wanted to, reach for the conference. And we kind of shot above that for the boxes. And sure enough, by the time we got to Saturday,
we had just enough.
Just enough. It was like the, what's that parable?
5 loaves and 2 fish.
It was just like that.
Yeah.
But Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. They don't have fish sandwiches at Chick-fil-A.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
But yeah, I think that was, again, super huge for us. Again, another way that I think God reminded us that he's in this and that what we're doing, and he'll find a way to provide. Again, when we don't plan for it, have no idea how we're going to pull it off, are questioning, are doubting ourselves. Do we bite off more than we could chew? Like, are we doing too much? Those little things and the way that God showed up throughout this year, and especially for that conference, was, again, confirmation that, hey, the Lord is with us, and he wants us to find ways to equip the church, especially through the creative arts. So grateful for that.
And the worship night.
Yeah.
I think my favorite part of the worship night in the evening, conference in the morning, worship night in the evening, was being able to see people just like pray. I really loved, we had a row of pastors from different churches that were just standing at the front, and people are just walking down, and they just needed prayer. And anyway, it was just beautiful, that open space and that safe space. So I loved that. Yeah.
I'm going to get to the New York Worship Collective in a little bit, but there's 2 other things I want to get to real quick. One is, which I've loved, especially most recently, is our ability to invest in the next generation and the creative arts, specifically with our relationship that grew randomly with Smithtown Christian School.
Yes.
I wouldn't say randomly. That's a wrong way. I think it's divinely, right?
Divinely, good. I love that. Divinely.
Because there was a relationship there. You were a former student, again, removed and then coming back and finding a way. I mean, you can tell the story better than I can, but I think the initial inquiry was for you to be the soccer coach, right?
Yes. Well, a soccer assistant coach.
Okay.
Yes. And then from there, I was like, actually, maybe I should look into even another job there. Because as we're building True, one day in faith, it'll be full time for me. But as I build, I need to have other sources of income. So I was like, let me see if there's another job opening there. There was. Interviewed, beautiful, loved it. But then I didn't feel like it was the right season. And even in that, they were like, well, what about chapel services? Do you think that we could partner with True Creative House? And I was like, actually, yeah. I think that's where like my, this is the window. Sometimes like you wonder, like a door opens, a window opens, and you want to walk through it, but you don't know. And I was like, okay, God, I think that's how we're supposed to partner with SES. And sure enough, We had a service there. What month? It was recent. September. We brought a group from the New York Worship Collective and partnered with Dean Chris. And it was beautiful seeing these young people just hungry for God during their spiritual emphasis week.
Yeah. And then not only that, we're continuing that partnership. You know, grateful for Dean Chris for allowing us to continue to come. And we recently were there a couple weeks ago, bringing one of our pastors within our system to come help speak at the chapel. We have a couple more chapel sessions we'll be helping with. So excited to be a part of the story of the next generation and equipping them with, like you shared in the conference, just that true heart of worship, right? Not something that's fabricated, not something that you see on Instagram, not something that you see that's viral, but having the right posture to, above everything else, really experience the power and the wonder of God, and not just a viral moment.
Yes, because sometimes it's easy to mimic, like, I want to say it, worship culture. I think we all are open enough to talk that sometimes we can put the label of worship as a genre on like this pedestal, or even make it like this idolatry. But really coming back to the heart of worship, and as a true creative, is that posture, like you said, of surrender and sacrifice. And it's beautiful to see that even the hub of pastors in our network are now being able to pour into those students at SES. So if there are other schools in town, you know?
Yeah, and also not only SES, but Youth for Christ, we've been able to do a little bit with them, and we're looking forward to the opportunity to do more stuff with them in the future. But again, just that next generation of encouraging students and the giftings that the Lord has given them, has, I think for me, has really been a highlight of our year.
It has.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about was, which we hinted about also, was Christian-owned businesses. I think about in the beginning of the year, we first started that by just having a connection time, right? We met up at Gregory's Coffee, and we had at least maybe 15 or 20 individuals that either owned a business or was in an organization or had something that they were brewing up, literally.
Brewing.
And we just got people to connect together and talk about it, encourage each other. And then in the way now that we are partnering in the events that we do, Worship on the Water, we had exhibitors, Long Island Creative Cafe, Long Island Creative Conference, we had a cafe that we had food vendors at. And so maybe you could just share a little bit, what was your heart or your intention behind connecting Christian owned businesses to True Creative?
Yeah, I see your kingdom impact, and I see that you're a marketplace ministry. So even though you're not in a church, God has positioned you in business, in corporate. So it's a strategy of I don't want to say strategy of the gospel, but it's a tool to bring people to Christ. And it's kind of like that scripture, be in the world, but not of it. So what better way to, have a coffee house, like My Town's Cafe we've partnered with, and they brought their pop-up to Long Island Creative Conference. And like you said, the Porch, and even Reformed Media. And there are so many different businesses that are being birthed in Long Island. And honestly, I think that some people in that faith-based business community, they just need encouragement. And a covering. I actually talked to a pastor about this recently. If you feel like God's given you a dream or a gifting, you need encouragement and, community, but you need that covering. And talk to your pastor about it. You can come to us and talk to True Creative about, how do I do this, not only in physically and with finances, but spiritually. So actually, we will get to this, but I'm so excited as we continue to build, to also build out this community for faith-based businesses.
That's great. I have one more thing before we talk about the future in 2026. But again, one of the biggest highlights for me for this year was just what we have been able to build with the New York Worship Collective. And so maybe you wanted to speak a little bit about that. What was your thought process in building that team, and how has that team encouraged you in the different events that we've done?
I have a passion for worship leaders. I was a worship pastor for about 8 to 10 years in Ohio, and then I came to New York. And I know the back end. I know the burdens. I know the financial budgets, and I know the people. A lot of times with being a worship leader, you think someone in the congregation may think it's all music. Like on Sundays, some members would come to me and be like, "Hey, I heard this song on the radio. Can you play it at church?" And like I would just think in my head, I'm not a DJ. Like, you know, I'm prayerful about this. I have my pastor that I have to communicate. Like, there's just so many processes behind being a creative leader in the church that I don't think are talked about on the front end with church members. So on the back end, I just have this heart. I have this heart for worship leaders. I want to champion them. And also, I want to create a space. We want it. I want to say we because Deonza is a part of this. She's in Kansas City, but we do a lot of long distance conversations about this too. But we wanted to have a safe space for worship leaders to not just get poured into, but to pour into each other. Because I remember the times as a worship pastor feeling completely alone, feeling like I am trying to build out and develop this team of people. And what about me? You know, and then you have other maybe churches that you want to connect with, but sometimes you just, as a leader, you know, I think even in the corporate world, they say it, it's lonely at the top. And sometimes, is that right? Yeah. And sometimes it can get lonely in leadership. So yeah, it's a safe space, not only to have fun and do worship, but to build friendship. Because most of the times when we go out on these events, we like to eat. So we like to fellowship people. Okay, so like we'll do an event and
Some people like to make goodie bags. I won't name one of the two of us that likes to.
You're getting a goodie bag, okay?
You get a goodie bag.
If you worship with us, you're getting a goodie bag. But yeah, so it's just a place of love, and then and it's a fun space. Like I think you could speak into it on the music side, being able to like collaborate in freedom.
Yeah, I think you hinted at one thing I definitely want to speak on, because I know you have experience, you know, being full time in the worship space and being hired on staff on that. My personal experience is that I've never been on staff. I've never been paid or on, you know, to be part of it, but I'm just so passionate about the volunteer aspect of leading worship and making sure those people are taken care of, educated, encouraged, spirit-filled, you know, and so finding those ways through New York Worship Collective to do that and being able to create a community of a higher calling. I think there's something about our collective is that, you know, it's a step above. It's not something that it's for everyone, because there is such a little bit of a higher calling when it comes to this collective team. I know specifically two things I wanted to share is one, during our worship night, right, that we had for after the Long Island Creative Conference. I was speaking to someone who was like, "Hey, you know, how was it? Like, how was your experience for the worship night?" He said, "Hey, like you guys went on for an hour and a half, and it was nonstop. Like there was no lull. There was no, you know, one song was better than the other. It was just high praise from beginning to the end, from song 1 to song 10.
Literally.
It stayed at one level, and it was all gas, no breaks. And I think that was part of just the structure of our team and the collective, is just that we understand what we're doing in this space, and we are adamantly going after the presence of God in whatever song that we're singing. So I think that's so amazing. And then again, like you said, the partnerships. Interestingly enough, Gabby, again, I'll shout her out. So one of the individuals from our New York Worship Collective team is Jamie and John. They're from Shelter Rock Church. And I remember Gabby sent me a video, I think last night, of a time that we went to go see Jamie, like almost, I want to say like 9 years ago.
Really?
We would serve at Freedom Chapel. We would do 2 or 3 services, and then we would drive all the way to Bushwick for their 6:30 service, just to take a moment, you know, not only myself and Gabby, but a couple members of our worship team, just to find a space to get poured into. And Jamie was that worship leader at that time at that 6:30 service. And now, fast forward, you know, 9 years later, and the Lord has brought us back together, but now we're worshiping together.
Yes.
It's so amazing just to find this community that is there to encourage each other in this space of worship. Like you said, that can get lonely, that can get burdensome.
Yes.
Especially as you're pouring into your own teams, into your own churches, into your own services, campuses.
Yes.
You know, it becomes a lot. But being able to find these spaces where we can serve together just has been amazing, and so grateful for people like Jamie and John and Alden and Angela, and we can go down the whole list. But we're stacking a pretty heavy team.
We are, and everyone cares about, like, you know, healing and seeing people delivered, and like that Holy Spirit, like really operating in that. And 2 frameworks that we have of the collective is anointing and skill. So we want to make sure that when people are singing on that team, because it's an interchanging team, you know, of different worship leaders and musicians, but having that anointing, being able to be a seasoned, you know, worship leader who knows how to navigate and honestly abide. I don't want to say navigate, but abide in those rooms. And then that skill of being able to, you know, just go and understand structure, you know, but then in the moment being experienced enough to be like, I'm just going to flow, but I'm going to flow on pitch.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm going to flow on pitch on the right key in the right moment.
Because we don't want to be a distraction. Like, again, it's not about perfection. We want to do this in excellence, and all glory to the Lord.
Yeah, of course, 100%. My last question before we wrap up.
Yes.
2026.
2026.
What is what excites you about True Creative going into this next year?
Yeah.
What do you feel the Lord is speaking to you, and what do you think we have lined up?
Yeah, I think it's definitely I think I've said it 3 times now in this podcast, but I'm not going to apologize, because it's the year of like advancement. It's like we're not just building this to build. We're not doing this for fun. We're doing this because there are lost people on earth that need to desperately hear about Jesus, because there is a heaven that God wants us in, you know, and there are people who are broken and people who need help. So anyway, so I see an expansion. I see us continuing to collaborate with more churches, but serve their bodies. Like I see us going into more churches on site, having more on-site trainings specifically for their teams. I see leadership development. I also see trainings, but I also see the faith-based business network growing and us establishing a framework to be able to say, hey, you have this vision, let's write it down and let's walk you through how to build the vision that God's given you. So yeah, I see joy. I see a lot of joy.
Oh, I'm excited about that. If there was like one last thing that you would hope our listeners, supporters, and churches could take away from this conversation, what is something that you would like to just be like, hey, if you listen to anything that we said, this is the one thing that I want you to capture?
Yeah, I believe it's becoming a part of my story or testimony, but in all reality, if the title of a worship pastor or a leader, if that was all stripped away, like, who would you be? Because even as we're building the creative arts, we really want to build that disciple of Christ first. So yeah, lead with that. Like, lead from that posture, lead from that positioning, and then watch God use you as a clean vessel. I think also mainly we have to participate in what God's doing. So that participation looks like living a life of holiness and purity, understanding the responsibility as a worship leader, a creative leader, and then also breaking down territories. One big thing with True Creative House is we want to break down walls that can come between churches, that can come between faith-based organizations. We want to dismantle that so that we can be one kingdom, like under God. And it's for his glory.
Yeah. There's no competition.
No.
There's no, can we do this better than somebody else, or another church, another organization? We're
in this together.
We're in this together. We want to unify and grow together, because it's all about the kingdom.
It is.
So if there's a space that you're interested in joining us and supporting with us, if it's via prayer, if it's financially, reach out to us. We'd love to find a way to connect. And we'll see you this time again next year.
Yeah. And we can't wait to see what God does in our next year recap.
Yeah. All right. Take care.